Today, Faculty of Law has several study programs. For the bachelor degree, this faculty provides a regular program and international undergrad program. For the master degree, there are two majors, the Master of Law and the Master of Notary, in which this major produces several professional graduates who work as a notary, one lead official, academic, action service officer, also many other legal professions. The faculty has allowed doctoral program. The programs in this major is designed to produce a graduate who has an expertise in law and can develop their knowledge through a scientific study and have the character that uphold legal wisdoms. To support the study, there are four buildings in this faculty. The first building is Justicia 1, in which the study takes place. There are also a houseboat area that is used to house several discussion groups for students and law laboratory that is used by the students to hold judicial practice. Justicia 2 consists of academic administrative service room, lecture room for magister program, doctoral program, professor room, lecturer room, administrative officer room, and a conference room. Justicia 2 consists of a library that provides various materials to enhance the students' knowledge, a comfortable reading space, a repository room to search through various theses, and a spacious hall. And then the Justicia 4 is a place for the judicial court room, and students' organizations consist of executive and legislative students, and also student activity. Today, Faculty of Law is preparing Justicia 5 building that intended for a secretariat of students' organizations. Today, the studies can be held under normal circumstances and also under challenging circumstances, like the COVID-19 pandemic. The Faculty of Law, University of National Student, is committed to give the best form a service to make it easier for the student to finish their study. There are academic services that consist of studies, laboratory, job.
Good morning. Welcome to the public lecture with the theme New Threats for Democracy and Investment in the Era of Digitalization.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and also to our respected guests. First of all, let us praise to the Almighty Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Because of His blessing, we are able to attend this event without any obstacles. Welcome to the Sudirman Law Fair 2022 at the public lecture with theme New Threats for Democracy and Investment in the Era of Digitalisation. I am Annie and my partner Okta. We are your master of ceremony today.
We would like to welcome the respectable the Vice Dean Faculty of Law Universitas Jenderal Sudirman, Dr. Teddy Sudrajat, SH.MH. Honorable Professor Dr. Thomas Smith and Professor Dr. Ademaman Suherman, SH.MSc, as the keynote speaker, and Mr. Manunggal Kusuma Wardaya, SH. LLM PhD, as the moderator. Honorable the Coordinator of International Undergraduate Program, Faculty of Law Universitas Jenderal Sudirman, Dr. Aryuni Yulianti Ningsih, SH.MH. Honorable Project Officer, Sudirman Law Fair 2022, Ms. Anissa Chandra. And to all our respected guests in this room, and also the participants on the Zoom meeting, thank you all for the audiences.
Before we start the event, I'd like to inform today's agenda. The first is opening. Second, singing the national anthem Indonesia Raya. Third, opening prayers. Fourth, greeting speeches. Fifth, the presentation by Professor Dr. Thomas Smith and Professor Dr. Ademaman Suherman, followed by discussion. And the last is closing.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to second agenda, singing national anthem. For all participants in this room, kindly stand up. And for those on the Zoom meeting, please turn on your camera.
Thank you very much. Please be seated. Moving to the next agenda, that is opening prayer. To respected Mr. Dr. Andes Nur Ashik MAG, you may lead the prayer.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Allahumma shalli wa sallim ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. hamdan na'imin, hamdan syakirin, hamdan yuafi ni'amahu wa yukafi mazidah. Ya Rabbana lakal hamdu kama yang bagi li jalali wajhika wa adhimi sultanik. Ya Allah, ya Azza wa Jalla, dengan rasa syukur dan kesucian hati, kami sebut namamu yang agung, karena hanya berkat rahmat dan hidayahmu, kami dapat menyelenggarakan acara Sudirman Lova 2022 International Undergraduate Program Public Lecture di Fakultas Hukum Universitas Jenderal Sudirman. Maka berilah kelancaran dan kesuksesan dari awal hingga akhir. Ya Allah, ya Malikal Mulk, ya Alim, kami sebagai bagian dari intelektual dan akademisi dalam acara ini memiliki tanggung jawab untuk memberikan pemikiran terhadap pengembangan ilmu hukum. Maka bimbinglah kami dengan hidayah dan ilmu-Mu agar kami dapat memberi yang manfaat bagi masyarakat bangsa dan negara. Ya Allah, ya Jamilun, ya Yuhibbul Jamal. Engkaulah yang menciptakan mahakarya surga indah di Katulistiwa negeri Indonesia yang subur, kemah ribah Rojinawi, Toto Tentrem Kertoroharjo. Jadikanlah Indonesia negeri yang damai, sejahtera, baldatun, thayyibatun, warabbun wafur. Berilah kami kekuatan menjaga, melestarikan karyamu yang maha indah, yang selalu mensyukuri nikmat-Mu. Ya Allah, ya Ghaffar, ya Hadi, ampunilah segala dosa kami. Berilah kami kehidupan yang damai, tentram, sejahtera, lahir batin di bawah ridha-Mu fid dunya wal akhirah. Ya Allah, ya taqabbal doa, kabulkanlah doa kami yang tulus. Allahumma agnina bil ilmi wa zazina bil hilmi wa akrimna bit taqwa wa jammilna bil afiyah. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina adzabannar. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun alal mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Nur Ashik. Ladies and gentlemen, the next agenda is greeting speeches. For the first speech will be delivered by Project Officer Sudirman Law Fair 2022. To Ms. Anissa Chandra, the floor is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning for all of us in here. The respectable Dean, Faculty of Law, Jenderal Sudirman University, Professor Dr. Muhammad Fauzan SH MHum, the Honorable Vice Dean, Faculty of Law, Jenderal Sudirman University, Dr. Teddy Sudrajat SH.MH, the Honorable Coordinator of International Undergraduate Program, Jenderal Sudirman University, Dr. Aryuni Yuliarti Ningsi SH.MH, the Honorable Professor Dr. Thomas Mitch and Professor Dr. Ade Maman Suherman SH MSc as the keynote speaker, and Mr. Manunggal Kusuma Wardaya SH LLM PhD as our moderator, and to you all, our guests in Justicia Hall 3 and also participants in Zoom meeting. First, I'd like to thank Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for giving us His blessing so that we could hold this activity, and because of His mercy, we're sitting in here with good condition. My name is Anissa Chandra. It is such an honor for me to speak on behalf of the Sudirman Law Fair Committee and Student Executive Board Faculty of Law. Let me begin by giving you a warm welcome to public lecture, A New Threat for Democracy and Investment in the Era of Digitalization. In today's event, we will learn how to build a strategy to overcome a new threats for democracy and investment in the era of digitalization with our honorable speaker. I hope this event will give you a lot of knowledge and beneficial. Well, I don't want to take too much of your time. That's all. Thanks for me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Ms. Anissa. The second speech will be delivered by the coordinator of International Undergraduate Program, Faculty of Law, Universitas Jenderal Sudirman. To Dr. Aryuni, the floor is yours. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, we praise to Allah because today we can gather in the event in good health. The Honorable Professor Dr. Muhammad Fauzan, as a Dean of Faculty of Law, Universitas Jenderal Sudirman, the first Vice Dean, Dr. Teddy Sudrajat SMH, the Honorable Professor Dr. Thomas Smith and Professor Dr. Adimaman Suherman MSc as keynote speakers, and guests from our partner universities, students, and all participants. On behalf of the head of committee, I would like to express my appreciation to all committee and executive student body of Faculty of Law for the good collaboration and cooperation between IUP and Sudirman Law Fair, so we can hold this event. Previously, this event would be held offline and invite Professor Dr. Thomas Smith to Unsud, but unfortunately, due to sudden obstacle, the event was held in a blended manner. We hope Professor Thomas will be able to come to Unsud for the next time. Ladies and gentlemen, we know that advances in technology and information have an impact of all fields, including democracy and investment. Communities need to have a critical attitude when receiving and conveying information. The large amount of hoax news in the digital world makes it a challenge for society to find factual sources. Aside from the fact that investing digitally as a part of economy also face challenges. In today's public lecture, we would learn about the threat of democracy and investment in the digitalization era. We apologize if in organizing this event, there are still things that are uncomfortable. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Aryuni. For the third speech will be delivered by the Vice Dean for Academic Faculty of Law, Universitas Jenderal Sudirman, to also officially open the Sudirman Law Fair 2022. Public lecture with the theme, New Threats for Democracy and Investment in the Era of Digitalization. The Honorable Dr. Teddy Sudrajat SHMH, the floor is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Peace be to the peace and God blessing be to you all. Good morning for everyone. The Honorable Speaker, Prof. Thomas Smith and Professor Dr. Adimaman Suherman in this public lectures programs. To all of the professor in the Faculty of Law, Universitas Jenderal Sudirman, all of the Vice Deans, all of the Coordinator of Study Program in the Faculty of Law, Universitas Jenderal Sudirman, all of the lecturers and students who take part in this public lectures programs. Thank you for coming in this public lecture for everyone. On these valuable occasions, let us first of all praise to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, the Almighty, for His blessing and guidance so that we can attend the scientific program, one of the regular events that held by Faculty of Law Universitas Jenderal Sudirman in 2022. And secondly, we would like to express our appreciations to all of the committee, especially for the international undergraduate program teams and student of IUP, and also for the Sudirman Law Fair Committee, who have prepared this program so that we can facilitate all the parties to get knowledge benefit concerning the legal science and its developments in Indonesia and also in a global aspect. And thirdly, our high appreciation to all of the speakers in this public lecture of Thomas Smith and Professor Dr. Ade Maman Suherman, which will share their knowledge and provide an insight about the development of democracy and investment in the digitalization era, which is correlated with the legal science. We already know that the themes that held by these public lectures is an up-to-date and interesting themes, because we all know that in an increasingly digital era, data and informations are the key to improving the quality of democracy and investment. Digital technology has both a new space, which has now become the dominant ecosystem of various human activities, wider scope of democracy in economic, social, political, and legal dimensions. To these reasons, the provision of public informations accurately is a necessity and influence each others. Upon this urgency, the public lecture is held to ensure that the law exists to provide necessity boundaries regarding the relationship between justice in relations to the development of democracy and investment in this digital era. So these occasions hopefully will provide a lot of new insight, a lot of new perspective for all of the audience relating with these conditions. Our distinguished guests, following up on the committee's request, officially as a representative of the faculty, by saying Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, the public lecture with the theme New Threats for Democracy and Investment in the Era of Digitalizations on Tuesday, November 29, 2022, which conduct in a hybrid, was declared officially open. Hereby, I conclude my speech. Once again, we would like to thank to all of the organizers and participants who attended, and hopefully this public lectures program will run successfully and beneficial to everyone. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Teddy, to the enlightening speech and officially opening of the seminar. Ladies and gentlemen, now we come into the main agenda keynote speaker session for the public lecture with theme New Threats for Democracy and Investment in the Era of Digitalization. We will have two respected speakers today, Professor Dr. Thomas Smith and Professor Dr. Ade Maman Suherman, SH, MSc, and the moderator today is Mr. Manunggal Kusuma Wardaya, SH, LLM, PhD. Firstly, I would like to read the curriculum vitae of the moderator. Mr. Manunggal had completed his bachelor studies at the Faculty of Law Universitas Jenderal Sudirman, continued his master studies at Monash University, Melbourne, Australia, short course at Erasmus University, and doctorate at Radboud University, Netherlands. He is a lecturer and the head of Constitutional Law at Faculty of Law, Universitas Jenderal Sudirman. To moderator, Mr. Manunggal, PhD. The floor is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good morning, everyone. It's very special for me to be able to sit here to guide this dialogue. We have enough introduction from the Vice Dean, so I won't be taking your time very long. We have two super speakers. The first is Thomas Schultz. Professor Thomas, over there. How are you? Apa kabar, Thomas? Selamat pagi.
Selamat pagi, baik.
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 Good morning once again from us all here. So sad that you cannot come here, yeah?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe the technician, the sound can make it louder. And we have another speakers from Faculty of Law. We have Mr. Professor Ade Maman Suherman. I'm asking you to join us here. Please give applause to Professor Maman. So we have two professors here, and we'll be discussing about a very interesting topics on new threats on democracy and investment in the digital era. Well, I won't be take your time for long. I will read the curriculum vitae of the speakers. The first will be Thomas Smith. Very long curriculum vitae, so I will make it brief. Thomas is currently the lecturer at the University of Gajah Mada, but his home institution is Göttingen University in Germany. Significant professional experience of Thomas, quite a lot, but I can mention, for example, in 2017 and 18, he's a lecturer at the University of Public Administration in Berlin, Germany. And also in 2015 to 2017, Thomas was an advisor at the academic, the Administrasi Publik in Republic of Moldova. Areas of expertise, European law, in particular EU internal market law, European Constitution, fundamental rights, foundations of European Union law, the European Union in the general theory of state. This is not the first time for Thomas, yeah, in Purwokerto, although virtually, yeah. Is that right, Thomas? You still remember me?
Yes.
Yeah.
2 years ago.
You visited us in like 2 years ago, maybe, I forgot. And now you'll be discussing a new interesting topic with us. And the second speakers, we have Mr. Ale Maman. I will be reading the curriculum vitae of Professor Maman. Professor Ade Maman Suherman, he was born in Kuningan, 11th of July, 1967. He finished his undergraduate in 1990, so like 32 years ago at the University of Jenderal Sudirman. Mr. Maman also graduated from University of Groningen in the Netherlands, majoring in international business in the year of 99. And he graduated from Faculty of Law, University of Indonesia, for his doctorate degree in 2008, majoring in economic law. So Thomas and Prof. Maman, we have 45 minutes for each of you. I will be giving the time, the first for Thomas. Thomas, the time is yours, please. Thank you.
Terima kasih. I will share my screen. Just a moment. I hope that works. You Hello, excuse me. I have been kicked out from the Zoom meeting. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
I don't know what that is, very strange. Okay, I will try again.
Good.
But there is quite some problem here. I see that. Just a moment. There is something going wrong. Okay, let me try if it works now. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm very sorry. I don't know what happened there.
It's all right.
But so, oh, it says again, Zoom quit. Can you still see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, I don't know what is happening with this Zoom meeting. Okay, Selamat pagi. I'm very happy that I have the chance to speak at Provocato again. Some of you I met already 2 years ago at the eCholgas conference online. And I hope very much to go to Provocato for today. So I'm very sad that I could not go there. But just 2 days ago, I got a positive COVID-19 test. So I'm very sorry. And I can tell you, I just had some harmless flu symptoms, but I got suspicious because I just had the flu 4 weeks ago. And in Jogja, there's a big wave of flu at the moment. But I thought since I had flu already ago, that's strange. So I wanted to make a test to be sure that there is no danger. And antigen test was negative, but I also made a PCR test and I only got the result 1 day later and it was positive. So, ladies and gentlemen, after that experience, I can tell you, you should be careful if you have any symptoms of flu. I had the flu before, just some weeks before, and it was much more serious than COVID, but you cannot know. If you get that, I would highly recommend to make a PCR test. I could not come to Provocato now because I cannot put anybody in danger. I'm very, very sorry for that, and I hope that I will have the chance to see you next time, maybe with another lecture in the next year.
Yeah, hope luck. Yeah.
I'm very sorry for that. Well, I will talk about new threats for democracy in the area of digitalization. And ladies and gentlemen, I would like to ask you to download my paper if you have not got it already. At my website, you can see it here, the web address. And this is important because I will show you, because you can see here parts in the paper which are underlined. I think you can see that now. If something in my paper in the PDF file is underlined, it is a link to other documents, journalistic documents, scientific documents from the scientific debate. So there is a lot of information what I provide in my paper, which is behind these links. And you are invited to click to them, but for that, of course, you need the PDF file. So if you are interested in the topic, please browse these links after the event, and you will find a lot of more information. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not criticizing digitalization in my lecture. My lecture is a criticism about how the human beings are handling digitalization. That is not the same. Digitalization is a big progress for mankind, but it also brings some dangers because it is abused by human beings, and the states and the societies are not doing enough against the abuse. Democracy now is in decline worldwide, ladies and gentlemen. We have a global rise of anti-democratic populist movements, parties, and politicians which try to destroy democracy from within. They are first elected, but once they are elected and they are the prime minister or the government or the president, then they try to destroy it. This is a serious threat to democracy, even in states with a long democratic tradition, as we can see in the USA. This is especially, but not only, a crisis phenomenon of the West. If you click that link there in my paper, you will get an article which analyzes this crisis in the West. It's a short way from democracy to autocracy under a populist government, as examples of Turkey, Hungary, Poland, the Philippines, attempts in Slovenia, and also attempts by Donald Trump show. Well, I have even made a course paper, How to Become a Dictator, which I show in my lectures at UGM, which shows all the tricks what populist movements use to come to power and then to destroy democracy from within. We have a return of the dominance of lie and propaganda in the public discourse, a massive, well-coordinated dissemination of lies and propaganda by a smart use of digital media. This distorts the public discourse and devalues it in its essential role for a functioning democracy. We also see a growing polarization of democratic societies, which is not caused by digitalization, but which is accelerated dangerously by digitalization. Heated, emotionally charged debates in divided, agitated, partly radicalized society. This makes a constructive, rational public discourse, as democracy needs it, increasingly difficult. We have that in Germany, for example, with the COVID-19 pandemic. You have around 25% of anti-vaxxers, which are not open anymore, which are only agitating emotionally. It's not possible to have a rational discussion about how to handle the COVID-19 pandemic in Germany anymore, not even within the families. Because often you might have an auntie or you might have your parents which just believe conspiracy theories in the internet. But I hear that also from students in Indonesia. I had one student in the course who told me in his family, when they have a meeting, they can never talk about politics because a part of the family is so radicalized by the internet that they will not accept any other opinion, and fighting will start immediately and the whole event will be destroyed. So it's a problem we have globally. USA and Brazil may be the worst examples. What are the backgrounds of this development? Well, I can only say shortly, probably the legacy of 30 years of neoliberalism, which neglected the social cohesion and the interests of the ordinary, the simple people in society. But also, ladies and gentlemen, let's be honest, it's the side effects of globalization. Globalization produces everywhere in this planet, not only winners, but also losers. And the losers are fighting back in every country, in every society. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a little bit ashamed to tell you that we have a problem of angry old white men who defend their unjustified privileges, unwilling to adapt to the changing world, unable to cope with any cultural changes, to cope with the morals which change in the society. They never stay stable. to cope with the rise of women and minorities in society. You can see that very clearly in West Europe and in North America now. But, sorry, it's not only a problem of white men, also of some others. These are the backgrounds. But what's happening now with the electronic media? There are new threats to democracy related to that. The first is very known also in Indonesia, hate posts in the internet. Online attacks on the personal honor and dignity, often denigrating the victim on the basis of gender, age, ethnic background, religion, sexual orientation, or even physical characteristics. For example, cyberbullying against thick people, what you have in some Western countries. This happens from the cover of the anonymity of the internet. The perpetrators would not dare to act like that offline. They only do that online when they're protected by the anonymity. The shitstorm, is this the symbol for the discussion culture of our time? Is this what our grandchildren will tell us when we talk about the good old times, when we are old? They will say, ah, yes, that was the time where public discussions were only possible in the way of a shitstorm. If you look at the internet, you can have that impression at the moment. Cyberbullying and cyber intimidation is also a big problem. There are effective means of harassment and coercion in the era of digitalization. That can go as far as threats of or public incitement to rape or murder. We have that in many countries. Often, cyber intimidation is targeted against intelligent, politically active women because some men want to silence them in the public discussion. It has also been used to stifle an academic discussion. For example, in 2020, we had the case of death threats against the Constitutional Law Society at our Facultas Hukum Universitas Gadjah Mada because they planned an online discussion on the presidential impeachment. It was just a legal discussion on impeachment. But then they were threatened so strongly, anonymously, even the lecturers who were invited to that event, even in different cities of Indonesia, they were threatened so strongly that the faculty needed finally cancel the event. Well, the next aspect is the intimidation of the citizen by government control of his conduct via internet or app-based social credit score systems. The best example is the social credit system in China. Utilizing apps, websites, bookings, and credit card payments, the citizen's smartphone, computer, TV, and potentially even cameras and other electronic systems in public spaces and buildings to spy on the citizen. Using the extensive personal data collected for a continuous social assessment and evaluation of the citizen and his behavior with concrete consequences for his professional, private, and social life. So if the data show that you have been shopping at the wrong places, you have been going out at the wrong bars, you may not get the job anymore. It's as simple as that. This is already happening in China. And digitalization is the technique which makes it possible. The next threat is government control and nationalization of the internet. Attempts to decouple, even physically, the national part of the internet from the global internet in order to enable full government control and censorship. We see the example of Russia, but also with the example of Russia and China, bans on global social media, and replacement by easy to control domestic social media. As we can see in China, where there is no Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, they only have the Chinese social media, which are totally controlled by the Communist Party. An even bigger threat is the dissemination of fake news and organized disinformation campaigns. They touch directly the foundations of a rational, fact-based political discourse. This is an old phenomenon, nothing new. We had that already 100 years ago, but it's revived and more dangerous because of the wide reach of the digital media today. This approach is often used by rich stakeholders or foreign governments which act covertly through controlled media and lobbyist groups. So as a citizen, you don't see who is standing behind. But in the digital area, everybody can abuse this. And it's happening. For example, in my country, Germany. Often, disinformation campaigns are not aimed to convince the citizen of the false allegations, but rather they aim to undermine, to destroy the trust in any information, including the correct information of the trustworthy media. Ladies and gentlemen, when the Russian president or the Russian foreign minister is lying in almost every sentence what he's saying, this is not because they want the people to believe them. They know that nobody will believe the lies. But they want them to believe not anymore to anybody, so that they will not believe anymore to the truth. And this works. A special problem is foreign election interference. That means massive organized campaigns, for example, going from Petersburg, where Mr. Prigozhin, the owner of the Wagner militia, has two big buildings with each more than 300 people working there who just manipulate the social media, and not in Russia, in other countries. So they are active in the US, in France, in Germany, and maybe also in Indonesia, I don't know. And so in reality, the post you see from Mr. Egon Müller from Berlin is in reality not from a German citizen, but it's from some Sasha from Petersburg, but somebody who speaks perfectly German and who is able to make these posts. And they do that with big dissemination. That is indeed a big problem. Another problem is the manipulation of the public discourse by social bots, software agents which communicate autonomously on social media and internet platforms. They command other posts, they like, they retweet, they chat with you. They operate undercover, feigning personal communication by a human being. So the personal command which you may read under a journalist article or in a Facebook post is in reality often the command of a machine. Also, there is a massive use of social bots under different usernames to feign a broad public resonance or a widely shared opinion. So you think there are thousands of people who share a so-called prevailing opinion in the internet, but in reality, it's just a small group of maybe 50 persons who are operating the bots, creating thousands or 10,000, sometimes hundreds of thousands of posts and manipulating the public discussion. Russia has been quite successful with that in Germany. For example, there are pro-Russian demonstrations in Germany, German citizens now demonstrating in favor of the war of aggression of Russia against Ukraine because they believe what they read in the internet. The last point which I would like to mention is the manipulation of the public discourse by distorted online opinion surveys. Have you ever participated in an online survey where they asked for your opinion on something? These surveys are not representative and therefore they are misleading because they only reflect the opinions in the specific group of the media site's readers. And they can be easily influenced by concerted actions of activists who go there, concerted way, and then they can influence the result. These online surveys are even manipulated by social bots, which go there under a different name as a machine several thousand times, and then the survey will count it as the vote of a citizen. So now you see how trustworthy it is if Elon Musk says that the people in the USA have voted in his online survey to allow Donald Trump to use Twitter again, despite of all his hate speech and his lies. This is just a manipulation. How can we now respond to the new threats to democracy? So we need to think, in particular as lawyers, what can we do against that? It's not to blame digitalization. It's the way we handle digitalization which is wrong. First of all, I would like to propose to raise awareness of the need to protect the integrity of the democratic process. Democracy, ladies and gentlemen, is not stable by itself. Not even in countries with a long democratic tradition, as we can see that in the USA. It's not sure if the USA will still be a democratic country in 3 or 4 years. The democratic process is by nature vulnerable to manipulation by undue pressure or deception. So one thing what I would like to do is to revive the concept of defensive democracy of Karl Löwenstein. I've put the link to information about that. That's an American writer, a German emigre at the Nazi time, who said that democracy must defend itself with legal mechanisms to fight those who try to destroy democracy. 2 examples which you have in Indonesia, 2 are the possibility to prohibit political parties who fight the democracy, or another example is the obligation to be loyal to democracy and to the constitutional order, this obligation of every civil servant who works for the government. But there are lots of more legal mechanisms how to defend democracy. The second is we need an institutional guarantee of a free and open but unmanipulated internet. This guarantee should guarantee the freedom of the internet as such from any unjustified government control. And it must prohibit any forced isolation of the national part of the internet, as they are doing in Iran, for example, or in Russia, what they call the nationalization of the internet. They always want to isolate the national from the international discussion so that nobody can interfere with their frauds and manipulation. But we also need a guarantee of the protection of the internet against manipulative techniques and practices. For that, we should insert a special clause on the internet in the national constitution, or maybe even in international treaties like human rights treaties. This still needs to be prepared, but we need that. The internet is the media of and the main technique of the 21st century. Another trick which helps a lot comes from the German experience. The exclusion, a priori exclusion, of any proven false allegations, that means in particular of lies, from the freedom of expression and other communicative freedoms. We can do that by a new interpretation of the clauses on the freedom of expression in our constitution or in international treaties. Germany had very good experiences with the restrictive interpretation of the scope of the protection of the freedom of opinion under the German constitution, the basic law, by the German Federal Constitutional Court. The court says the following: lies or other proven false allegations do not fall at all under the protection of the freedom of opinion. That means freedom of expression. Because proven false allegations or facts can only be destructive in the formation of opinions, and thus in the democratic process. Fake news can never support democracy, and therefore they should not be protected at all by the communicative freedoms. That means a person who lies in Germany, unlike in America, cannot pretend that he is just making use of his freedom of expression. Freedom of expression does not include the right to lie in Germany. That has worked well. It facilitates the intervention of the authorities and courts against disinformation. They do not need to justify why they stop disinformation. They only need to prove that the information is wrong, if it's about facts. Another approach is fact-checking and public exposure of fake news. I think you have that in Indonesia too. Valuable contributions of journalists and the civil society, usually in special internet portals and journalistic formats. I have put some links there in my paper, so please check that. Also some examples. That means fact-checking portals. They analyze some of the allegations in the internet, and then they come up with a thoroughly documented answer. Is this true or is that wrong? Is it a lie? Sometimes even very provocative allegations or facts are true. Then the public must know that too. But the main purpose is to dismantle the lies. For example, COVID-19 has not been created in a laboratory in China artificially, and it's not a weapon, and the vaccine against COVID-19 are not planting chips of Bill Gates into the bodies of the human beings. We have also other approaches in Europe, for example, specialized police departments, prosecutors' offices, and specialized civil society organizations to stand up against the lie. And also for a more efficient fight against hate posts, cyberbullying, and cyber intimidation, with specially trained digital media experts. Now I come to a more technical topic: special precautions against manipulative, anti-democratic abuse of the internet. The first one would be rules to ensure the identifiability of users of internet platforms and social media. In particular, in public discussions, we should insist on real names. We should require the deposit of a verified identity data with the provider of the platform. The authorities, like the police, they should only get access to these data with judicial approval. That means they should only be allowed to get access to these data when a court agrees with that. But it must be sure who is doing what in the internet? The anonymity is a threat to democracy. Democratic discourse is open, it's not anonymous. The next aspect is very easy. It's more for the civil law lawyers, private law lawyers, strict liability. That means liability without fault of social media providers for any encroaching content on their platforms. This is the most effective way to make providers comply with their responsibility for the society. Internet providers, social media providers like Facebook or Google, they are not innocent, but they are operators of an extremely dangerous and harmful machinery, which can destroy democracy. So they must bear the risk. What I propose specifically is that the victim must gain civil compensation in the form of a lump sum directly from the provider, who then may make recourse against the responsible user. That means, for example, if there are haters threatening women who are active on the internet, or we should rape you, we will come to your house, or think, you are a bitch, something like that, it should be Facebook or Google or Twitter who need to pay compensation for that. And they should not be allowed to say, we are only the medium, we are not responsible. They are disseminating that, they are responsible. But of course, after that, they shall have the right to take recourse against the user who has posted the bad post. But they should take the cost and the risk of that. At the moment, the victims of cyberbullying, fake news and hate speech, they are more or less unprotected in the internet. And that's why they are so intimidated. Another aspect is we should establish legally binding standards for algorithms to prevent a destabilization or polarization of the society. That means, in particular, we should prohibit, the law should prohibit to the providers to favor provocative posts with extreme views or extreme style just to attract attention. That is the way Facebook and co and Twitter and co are acting. They make money from the hate speech, from the fake news. The more polarizing it is, the more provocative they are, the more attention they get, the more advertisement the platform can put on its websites. This is the way they make money, and that should be prohibited. Also, I would like to propose a general punishable ban on social bots, or at least their disguise used. That means, in particular, in the political debate, for example, in electoral campaigns, social bots should be prohibited and the use of that should be a crime. We had in the last German elections a right-wing extremist party, a political party which used social bots so that the citizens would think there were so many followers of this political parties, all with hate speech against Muslims and other minorities in Germany. But in reality, that was only a very small group of people. Also, I recommend mandatory transparency rules for online opinion surveys, so that we know, are they representative or not? How many people who has taken part in these surveys and who not? Another approach practiced already in some countries are one-stop online complaint offices, where the citizens can report violations easily and unbureaucratically. I don't know if it has already happened to you that you get the shitstorm and you get the hate on Facebook under your posts. Do you go to the police then? What can the normal police help you? And it's a long procedure. It takes some hours. So they have in some countries established online complaint offices where you can just report that, and then they will take care of that and help the citizen unbureaucratically. Last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, we need to enhance the citizens' awareness of the threats in the internet by education and training. The risk of manipulation is very high, and the citizen should know that. We have the problem in Germany, not with the young people. They know how that internet works. We have the problem with the old people, the parents, the grandparents, who are not digital natives and who just have learned how to use that, and then they start to believe anything which they read on the website if that website looks a little bit more honorable, more conservative. So we need in particular to train the elderly and also the not so educated people, so that they are aware of the risk to be manipulated in the internet. And sorry to say that in the US and in Germany, we really urgently need an immunization training against internet spread conspiracy theories. When I was in Germany at the end of last year, it was crazy. There were more than 20% of the population who refused vaccination. And many of them, they thought that this is just a dirty trick of Bill Gates and children-eating Democrats in the USA to govern the world. All kinds of conspiracy theories came up against the vaccinations. I was happy then when I returned in January to Indonesia, although I needed to go on quarantine for 1 week in Jakarta. I was not even allowed to leave the hotel room or to return to Jogja, but I was back in an environment of more rationality. This is quite a problem with internet spread conspiracy theories, and it's not what you think who is willing to accept that. It's not the poor people, the uneducated people, it's even intellectuals, it's sometimes professors, it's often the elderly who believe in that. So we need to do something against that. Also, I recommend an international cooperation of democratic states to reconcile the protection of the communicative freedoms on one hand. We must protect freedom in the internet, of course, freedom of expression, but also we need to protect against their abuse. So both needs to be reconciled. And I would like to propose an international treaty on cooperation in the defense of democracy, which is only open to democratic states, so that who will not try to sabotage it. Not open to China or to Russia or such states. And it may even establish international institutions like an expert treaty body, like we have under the human rights treaties, institutionalized forums, or even maybe a specialized human rights court for the legal protection in serious cases or questions of general interest. How can we reconcile freedom of expression? We do not want to put that in danger, but reconcile it with the protection against the abuse of the freedom of expression, to manipulation. And I think, yeah, 5 minutes? 5 minutes? Okay. I think we can only do that in the international level. I think also there should be an international elaboration of universal democratic standards for both the protection of the communicative freedoms and the protection against their abuse. So on the international level, in working groups of democratic countries only, no Iran or Saudi Arabia or China or Russia involved, we should develop universal democratic standards, which make sure that the freedom of expression is preserved but the abuse of it is limited. This would include universal standards for a free civil society. You may know that the civil society is under attack in most countries of the world at the moment. Often they are called foreign agents if they talk about human rights, for example. I also think a transcultural international dialogue on the conditions and requirements of democracy would be helpful. This should be on a global level, not only within a part of the world. No, democracy is a general principle. Democracy cannot be different in the West or in the East or in Islamic countries, in Southeast Asia or in Europe. So we should have a transcultural dialogue about these standards which we need. Last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, we need to provide for the defense of pluralism and tolerance, which are essential conditions for democracy. Democracy must not be confused with the dictatorship of the majority. It requires a pluralistic culture that brings together different stakeholders and different, even fundamentally different, political, ideological, and moral approaches and worldviews in one big constructive debate. Mutual respect for each other and tolerance are essential preconditions for that. For that reason, we need to raise awareness that those internet haters who oppose pluralism, who say, for example, our country will never be a pluralist country, they are enemies of democracy and thus enemies of society. And we should trigger the mechanisms of the defensive democracy against them. Also, I would like to propose for a global introduction of a new crime in the criminal code, the criminal prosecution of any militant or oppressive acts of intolerance or incitement thereto. We need a criminal offense of religious intolerance or anti-religious intolerance. We must not have any tolerance for those who try to impose their own religious or moral code of conduct on others. But this is happening on a very large scale, often combined with cyberbullying and intimidation in the internet. Let me come to the conclusion now. Well, the digitalization is not the reason for the contemporary decline of democracy, but it accelerates it. To preserve democracy, first of all, we need to work on the deeper reasons, such as the social divide, the polarization in the society. We should also use the mechanisms of defensive democracy, for example, prohibit anti-democratic parties or anti-democratic organizations, as it has done, for example, in Indonesia with the prohibition of the FBI. But there is also a large catalog of promising measures which I have presented to you, which we can use against the specific threats which emanate from digitalization. These measures need to be developed continuously because the threats will change. For this, and also to prevent any risk of abuse, a broad and transcultural, institutionalized international cooperation of democratic states is necessary to defend democracy together. Thank you very much for your attention. Permisi, Mr. Moderator, your microphone is switched off on Zoom. You need to switch on. Ah, yeah.
Okay. Okay, I repeat, Thomas, I'm so impressed with your suggestion. One of your suggestions was that we need to have immunizations from conspiracy theory. Yeah, I remember that yesterday my youngest son came from school and showed me that he got immunizations, and now you recommend us to have immunization also. Some of the important points that you've mentioned just now, that digitalizations, we have actually, that we cannot avoid digitalizations. There is no problem with the digitalizations. That's a new development in technology, but the problem is more about the handling of digitalizations. As we are facing now a lot of problems in the public area, yeah. Cyberbullying, sex, gender-based online violence, and then a lot of manipulations. Also in political spheres, people using internet, social media to disinformate, yeah, including in Indonesia. And then I think, an interesting thing that you mentioned, that social media providers like Twitter, they also have responsibilities. Yeah, they cannot just make a disclaimer that they just provide the media, because they make also revenue from hate speech, from disinformation, things like that. We'll be discuss that later, Thomas. You can have a coffee break there. Now we continue with Professor Ade Maman, my senior. Professor Ade Maman will be delivering also his speech. You have like 30-40 minutes, Pak Maman. The time is yours now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for Mr. Manunggal, as the moderator of this public lecture today. And I would like to appreciate the presentation from Mr. Thomas Smith. And now it's my turn. And I think we still discuss about digitalization, but my turn and my topic, it's quite different with the previous one. I would like to talk about the investment perspective, yes, but still in digitalization as well. So it's quite interesting, because if we talk about democracy and digitalization, we talk more or less about how the people come to power, and then how to elect our leader in the most democratic ways. But now my topics concerning the investment and the digital economy. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, and also my beloved students here who attend in this room. Yes, I would like to appreciate, because today the situation is getting better, so we can contact and meet each other, and also attend the lecture physically. Yeah, but because of digitalization as well, we can arrange the conference both directly in the class and also by virtual platform. Okay, I have a time only maybe 30 until 45 minutes, but I hope I can finish the sooner the better, I think, as the hope of Mr. Moderator. Okay, first I would like to present my structure of presentation. Please start my first slide. Yes, yeah, okay. Okay, I'll give you the structure of presentation in the beginning of the presentation. First, we are going to discuss about the introduction in this topic. Of course, we are going to elaborate about the introduction and definition as well about investment itself. and also digitalization. And the second part, I would like to elaborate about digitalization and world economy. Yeah. And also, it's the most interesting one, I think, about digitalization and its challenge and also its threats, because the topic itself that I would discuss now, it's about investment and some challenge and also threats that we are going to face now and in the future, I think. Okay, and also in the next part, I would like to elaborate about Indonesian perspective concerning investment in digital society. And the last one is about the conclusion of the discussion. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here I would like to show you about the norms and about the definition, the investment. According to law number 25, 2007 concerning investment, this is about investment from Indonesian perspective, that investment shall be any kinds of investing activity by both domestic and also foreign investor for running business within the territory of the Republic of Indonesia. So it's quite interesting, I think, to criticize about this definition related to the current situation today, because now we are living in digital society, but about definition of investment and also about the market and etc. still quite unconventional and also still in the old definition, I think. So we still concerned about the territory of the Republic Indonesia. But if we talk about digital society, it's quite hard to describe and to limit the territory and also about the authority of the government, how to regulate and how to manage and how to control the digital society in the world, particularly in investment area. Okay, and then the next one, how important the digital society and how important the technology. Here from John Chambers, the CEO of Cisco, he stated that at least 40% of all businesses will die in the next 10 years if they do not figure out how to change their entire company to accommodate new technology. So I think it's good warning, and also we should keep in mind for us as well, for our institution in education institution, in a business company, and also other institution. Of course, I think it is a kind of basic or fundamental needs for us to accommodate or to adopt technology, particularly in information and communication technology. Okay, all students and also all the participants that attend this public lecture, I would like to now the next slides about legal transformation and digital technology. So from theoretical point of view, I would like to give some theoretical basis in this topic. I think the utilitarian approach it's quite compatible or quite suitable to discuss this topic today about investment and digital society or digitalization. Because the utilitarian approach focus on solving a strictly defined functional tasks, particularly in financial intelligence and also approval of technical regulation and etc. I think as we know that the utilitarian concepts always focus on how to serve and serving the interest. It means that how to mix our life by maximizing maximizing happiness, and then also on the other way around, we have to minimize the pain, yeah. In short, that in this life, by regulation, how to create law and regulation in order to make a happy and welfare and also good condition, and also the greatest happiness for the greatest number by regulation and also by norm and other social norm and etc. So developing a legal mechanism to minimize the risk as well. So how to minimize the risk and associated to the use of specific digital assets. So I think it's still in line with the first topic, I think, from Professor Thomas Smith, that how to minimize this, the harmful and also the damage, also how to protect the legal rights and also etc. How to make the digital society can survive by giving more welfare and also happiness for the people. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to come to my slide about how a digital economy work in the society. So there are three kinds of terminology in digital economy. First, I would like to focus on the term that we always use, the disruptive technology and industry, and also the sharing economy, and also the digital economy. So three terms here, I think, are still synonymous with the transformational change occurring in the ways of business and individuals. So from the literature point of view, we can recognize three terms here: that's disruptive technology and industry, and also the sharing economy, and also digital economy. It is a kind of synonymous with the transformational change, yes, occurring in the way of business and individuals. And from that, I think what is the goal of digital economy? How they produce and deliver and also consume goods and services in increasingly digitalized marketplace. So the third stage here that I show you in the slide, that the ultimate goal from the businesses and also individuals, they want to produce and also deliver and also consume goods and services in increasingly digitalized marketplaces. Ladies and gentlemen, and all the audience, next slide, I would talk about the digitalization. Here, I would like to describe how digitalization work in our life. First, I think digitalization apply the internet-based digital technology to the production and trade of goods and services. That was one. And then provide a boost of the competitiveness across all sectors. So it's good point, I think, from digitalization, all business players, both individuals or businesses, by using the digitalization, they can compete globally, and also it can promote and increase the competitiveness across all sectors and also across a border, not only in local or national, but also in regional area. For example, many small, medium enterprise in Indonesia, in very remote area, and also in the local region, they can promote their product to everywhere by using the Instagram or Facebook and social media, other social media. So it boosts the competitiveness across all sector and also across border from one area to another area. So it's quite interesting to criticize about investment related to the definition of investment still limited by the territory in law concerning investment, number 25 to 2007. And then, of course, we can see here the digitalization for the business player can be as new avenues for accessing overseas market. So accessing service market, overseas market is quite easy to promote by using the internet or by using the system, also by showing the name or the brand, and also about the what kind of services they can offer to the public or the client. For example, in Indonesia or in local area, in local touristic city in central Java, for example, they promote the BUMDes here, and we call it BUMDes, like the the company owned to the village that they can promote everything that they have. For example, from the potential, I mean here, touristic area that can attract other people from many countries, I think, yeah. And then the opportunities for business and entrepreneurial activity. So here the digitalization also can encourage all the business players to be the entrepreneurial professional as well, and then how to manage their corporation, their company in as a professional they want. And then the next slide, I would like to show you here that I want to ensure you that digital economy here, the International Telecommunication Union show us the data here. 3/4 of the population in most developed and emerging economies use the internet. So including in our society, also in all the students in university, and also I think all the peoples, yes, mostly using the internet and using the gadget, how to watch what happened, yes, in another side of the world, yes. So the internet here, there has kind of penetration rate in approaching 50%, yes, across developing countries. So it is exceeding 25% in Africa. So it's a big number, I think, and also it's quite a significant number of using internet or the gadget, and also the system inside the internet facilities, and also the mobile phone and etc. In developed countries and also in emerging economies, yes, up to 1/3 of people now shop online, you know. So but online shopping is quite common today, yeah. So the student, also maybe all the people quite familiar with this model, how to get kind of new product, and also how to get the cheapest product from online service, from online shopping. So I think it's the consequences of the technology. I think the student today is, I think, it's quite more interested to buy something from online shopping rather than to buy book for reference, or to increase your knowledge and etc. Also here, B2B or business to business transaction words and multiple by business to consumer. So there are B2B and B2C. So you have to know here that there are two terms here, B2B and B2C. B2B means that business to business, and also here B2C in business to consumer transaction. And also it's quite strong influenced by digitalization as well. And also the web-based sales also here has a significant role in our life in trading and investment. Ladies and gentlemen, the next slide, I would like to come to my topic about the relevance of the digital economy for investment. First, that the digital economy has potential to transform the international operation of multinational enterprises, and the impact of foreign affiliates and host country, and therefore affect the investment policies. So here that digital economy has a significant influence to host government and also to rule and regulation in the host country, and also how to know how to observe about the consumer behavior in certain area in certain countries. And also the second one, the global digital economy calls for targeted investment policy to build connectivity and also infrastructure, and also promote digital firms and support digitalization in broader economy. So it's the real challenge for our government and also for the community and also for the society. We need a kind of infrastructure, how to connect each other by using the gadget or computer or other instrument, how to connect each other. And then the next one, we got the facts that shows that the value of business to consumer transaction has tripled from 0.5% of global GDP in 2010 to 1.5% today. So the internet industry contributes almost 4 percentage points of GDP to the largest economies, and those that generate 70% of global GDP. Governments to interact with citizens and also deliver service. So it's quite common here that all the governments, both central government and local governments, we can easily find a website or kinds of how to serve the people, how to serve the society in terms of their capacity, in terms of their authority to facilitate the society, the people, because the main task of the government, I think, how to protect the rights of the people and also how to serve the interests of the people. By using the digitalization, so it's getting easier, I think, for the government to manage and also to offer kind of application. Yeah, it's quite normal. I think all the institutions offering a kind of application how to apply a certain certain here mean that's the government try to make closer with the society by using the digital equipment. And then we now see that 148 countries provide at least one form online transactional services. So in mostly in the world here, 148 countries provide at least one form of online transactional services. So it's also in Indonesia, there are many kinds of services that already arranged and offered to the society to make easier process. Yes. And also here for the business player, it can make overseas market more accessible. So not only for the government, digitalization can help the market players and also the business player getting more accessible for export, including by linking domestic companies and small and medium-sized enterprises. So everything there, so everything already presented in the web or all the links that already offer to the public. And then create new markets such as digital application adapted to specific local condition. So the more specific product, we need the more specific application, yeah, such as agriculture and education and health, and also open up niche sectors such as the creative economy. So the creative economy right now is quite has big contribution to our Indonesian economy because in pandemic time the government tried to push all the small medium enterprise to do more creative and also to access all the capital from the banking institution or financial institution. And then also government try to make more flexible in how to give a loan or to give kind of credits for the small medium enterprises. Ladies and gentlemen, the next one here also another positive thing here for the government. The government can foster transparency and effectiveness. As we know, the e-government, including approaches such as United Nations Commission for Trade and Development, regulation and registration systems, and support anti-corruption effort, and also help the government better understand and to respond to societal trends and development. So it's quite common today that government always apply the e-procurement, e-government, how to get the cheapest price from the vendor, the cheapest way or the more effective way how to get product from the business player in terms of the how to to get more effective way to get kind of goods and stuffs for the office. And then the facility delivery of humanitarian and development assistance. So digitalization also help us how to facilitate and to make easier to deliver humanitarian aid or and development assistance. Yeah. And then, for example, maybe today there is kind of a big disaster, earthquake in Cianjur. So through digitalization, I think it's quite easy to control, to monitor which part of which area that should be quickly helped by the government by using the GPS or I mean geospatial service, how to know about a certain and remote area can be recognized in the most accurate and also could deliver all the aid and also the assistance to the people. And then the next one, I think digitalization also presents serious challenge. And now I would like to present and to show you that something about dangers. Maybe it's kind of challenge for us and also for our government. Yeah, digital divide is still kind of obstacle for us because the lack of investment, skill, and capacity, and also makes digitalization a complex process, and also particularly for developing and less developed countries. Maybe about the rate of connectivity in Java Island is quite big and quite good enough, I think. But if we go to another islands in Indonesia, that's still a remote area, they don't have any connectivity, how to access and how to open a kind of accessibility for the central government, for how to get service from the government. Yeah, because Indonesia is huge country. I think it's huge country, big country, and also Indonesian government through to Ministerial of Communication. I think the digitalization should be arranged in more fair and also in good distribution to another islands. Also, how to serve their demand and also how to serve their needs. Ladies and gentlemen, all students, here the next. I have one data here that there are top 5 sectors affected by cybersecurity threats. You know here that in Europe, yes, there are incidents related to prime threats observed by the European Union Agency for the cybersecurity between April 2020 until July 2021. So there are here public administration government. Yes, they it's 198 yes, cases, and also digital service provider 152, and also general public 151, and healthcare medical 143, and finance and banking 97. So it is about the cyber security that already recorded by the European Union. Yeah, but yes, even in European Union, there are many kinds of attacks from the cyber uh, that want to destroy the system, I think. Yes, and the target here, the most targeted here, public administration or government. It's nearly 200 cases. And then come to Indonesian cases. I got the data, very update data from my colleagues in cyber institution team that this here ranking compromise sector in compromise in financial sector. So in January until September 2022, yeah, it's detected until 9,008 and 870 cases. As you know, and in the cycle, in the left side, there are Trojan activity. It's more or less about 71%, and then malware here 9.76%, and also APT 70%. So in the left side, you can read that the threat names and also the classification, APT, Trojan activity, and malware. Yeah, you can see very clearly here the threat name here: Lazarus, dangerous password, Hermit, and also generic Trojan, RAT activity, UP3 and RAT activity, and then the other RAT activity, and etc. in malware in the bottom lines, and the right side is the total number. So the biggest number here comes from APT and Lazarus, Lazarus, and also generic Trojan RAT activity. So it's all about the name of the virus that can destroy our system. Yeah, and it's already compromised. This means that compromise is already definitely it's can be classified as virus that can make something in trouble, particularly in financial sector. And then, if still have time, I would give you the United Convention on Trade and Development list of the top 100. It is important to present about the names and also the number of multinational enterprises that his core business in its core business in international information and technology. There are here Apple, Samsung, Honhai, and etc. And also telecoms multinational corporation, and also other multinational enterprise. Its enterprises have very significant role for the digitalization. And the next one in figure 4.11, the movement of ICT players in until top 100 multinational enterprises. So you can show yourself here. There are many kinds of corporation that produce and work and distribute or information equipment, and also all sophisticated technology in international and communication and technology. I would like to skip this one, and also the architecture of the digital economy. You can show, you can see the the picture, the color, there are green light and dark green here. It's quite different criteria. It means that it's about the digitalization of the global economy. Yes, and then about digital content and also media and entertainment and also info and data process and also internet platforms here about search and engines, social networks and other platforms and sharing and economy. And the left side here, e-commerce about internet retailers, about other e-commerce travel and also digital solution, about electronic digital payment and also other digital solution. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's nearly over. I think there's still some slides here. I would like to refer to international norm or international convention here, UN Convention on the use of electronic communication in international contracts, 2005. In Article 8, enshrines the legal force of an electronic agreement, namely, an agreement cannot be invalidated or enforceable solely on the basis that it is in the form of an electronic message. There are requirements for the identification of parties and for the integrity of information. So here the article, the message of the article that the agreement is the electronic agreement cannot be invalidated or enforceable solely on the basis that is in the form of the electronic, but it's still need kind of the requirement for the identification of the parties and also the integrity of information. So the last sentence below here, it's about the additional requirement or the condition in electronic agreement. We need kind of how to identify the identification of parties and also the integrity or the validity of information. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, and then it's about the international collaboration, how to overcome, how to handle the kind of cyber attacks. I think there are many kinds of effort and also policy from the government. Here they are Asia Pacific Computer, yes, emergency response team, episode. And also here the second one, it's organized by Organization of Islamic countries, yes, and then the third one is the names of this institution is first, the first means forum of index of response security team, yeah, and also ASEAN and Japan cyber security forum, yeah, and also here in the left side, yeah, sorry, in the right side, it's the names of the activity that already done by the forum. Yes, I think you can read here in my slide. There are many activities that already done by Indonesian governments. I don't want to elaborate more, and you can just make sure that Indonesia has do something important to anticipate from the cyber attack. And in collaboration, in international collaboration, you can see in my slide, first there are cyber security sharing session and also capacity building that organized by other international forum. Yeah, it's kind of sharing session, short sharing session, also about training, about conference and etc. And also it's involved from international organization, from UNODC sharing session. Yeah. And finally, I would sum my presentation in the last 4 points. Yes, Indonesian perspective, digital economy in Indonesia is the highest among the South Asia countries. Yes, the Southeast Asia countries, I'm sorry. So this digital economy has give big contribution to our economy, and it already nominalized that it's the biggest and also the highest among Southeast Asia countries from digital economy. And also digital economy development is one of the main strategies for Indonesian economic transformation. So now we are in transformation era. Now how to welcome digitalization era, and also how to make digitalization can contribute to our welfare. And then accelerating economic recovery after COVID-19 pandemic. So the development of the digital economy is also driven by shift in people behavior that tends to use digital platforms in various sectors. And then the next data, you can you can see in 2021 the value of e-commerce. So it's quite specific. We talk about digital economy, and then comes to the more specific one in the e-commerce. E-commerce reached 401.25 trillion Indonesian rupiah. Yes, with the transaction volume at 127 trillion. And then research by Google, Temasek and Bain and Company 2021, the investment value of Indonesian digital economy during Q1 2021 was 4.7 billion US dollars and has exceeded the highest value for the last 4 years.
Excuse me, Mr. Maman, you still have 5 minutes.
5 minutes, okay. Indonesia is the most popular investment destination in Southeast Asia, surpassing Singapore. And then finally, we come to the conclusion. Digital investment contributes to the world and the national economy. And also digital economy is undeniable for us today and in the future. And regulation and policy are needed. The cyber security team and financial security authority, or we call that OJK, and also BKPM in charge of digital investment should be optimized, should be more and more be developed. And definition of market and investment should be redefined for the current situation, and also what should be done the next to foster the digital economic development. We need kind of progressive advanced strategy, or to minimize the risk. To minimize the risk related to its use. We call it security strategy. And then the big question here: can traditional legal constructs be adapted to digital economy, or are innovative laws needed? So it's two options, I think, about how to traditional legal construct be adapted to the digital economy, or we need more innovative in how to formulate the new laws. The second one: how can a model for the universalization of transnational technologies law can be designed? I think that's all my presentation. And shortly, that we need kind of international collaboration as well, like Professor Thomas Smith, how to manage democracy in digital society, in national and regional or in global level and global arena. We need more solid collaboration, how to minimize the harmful damage for society. I think that's enough. Thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's the presentations of Professor Suherman. Some of the important points that I still can remember that we have now plans into a digital economy. We cannot avoid that facts. More and more, all of us now transaction through internet, yeah, online shopping, things like that. But also, Mr. Maman also outlined the threats for digital investment and digital economy. We have very still weak in the cybersecurity. Therefore international cooperations are still needed, and also the regulations, new definitions on law, legislation, and instruments, things like that. And that's the red line, I think, between the speech or the papers of Mr. Suherman with Thomas over there in Yogyakarta. Yeah, and I hope this is a good sign for also collaborations between the two institutions, between Groningen and also Fakultas Hukum Unsyt. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have still like 45 minutes to question and answers. We have three sessions. For the first time, I would like to give the opportunity for the audience here. And the second, for the viewers of this forum on the internet, on YouTube and Zoom. And the third will be a mixed question and answer from both of audience here on the internet. For the first time, I gave the opportunity for three people maybe for raise questions. Yes, you first, and then the second will be asking. Second question. Yeah, you still have one more. Yep. Okay. Can you please ask? Make it briefly, yeah. Short.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. The Honorable Professor Dr. Ade Maman Suherman and Professor Dr. Thomas Mitz as our speaker of today's public lecture. So my name is Nintia Septiana. I'm from IUP class 2019. Beforehand, I would love to thank you for the opportunity. So I would refer to Professor Ade. The question is, how does digitalization cause cybersecurity threats in various sectors? And why do cybersecurity threats affect public administration or governments the most among other sectors?
Can you repeat and make it slowly, please?
Okay, so how does digitalization cause cybersecurity threats in various sectors? And why do cybersecurity threats affect public administration and government the most among other sectors? That will be all. Thank you so much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
All right, the next question.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Asvina Erga Abstinavila from IUP class 2021. I want to ask for Professor Ade Maman. My question is, in Indonesia, there are already some digital-based investment. Then how to protection data and privacy in digital investment? In the middle, the many cases of data leak that happening in Indonesia. Thank you.
Sorry, we cannot hear you clearly. Can you please repeat?
Data yang privacy. Yeah, repeat again, please.
My question is, Indonesia, there are already some digital-based investment. Then how to protection data and privacy in digital investment? In the middle, the many cases of data that happening in Indonesia. Thank you.
All right, the last.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Pedro Lawrence Nenggolan. I want to question to Prof. Ade Maman. My question is, how can to the transition of to digital economy uh, increase to competitiveness in all sectors? This is my question, Prof. Thank you.
All right, so Professor Suherman takes all the questions for the first sessions. Mr. Suherman, can you please, the time is yours.
Okay. Thank you for your very, very good questions. For the first questions about why the cyber attacks. You mean here from European side, that I already presented that there are some attacks to public government institution. Yeah, I think there are many background thing or motivation for the attackers. Yeah, particularly here, yes, I want to show you here in Indonesia in the financial institution, but I try to grab and also to make comparative perspective in terms of how to make comparison between ASEAN or in Indonesia or in European Union. Yeah, the public administration or government, we notice here 189 cases. Yeah, and then followed by digital service provider and general public and healthcare medical and also finance and banking. Banking institution just here scale only the lowest one, just only 79. Public administration or governments, maybe it's because European Unions and consists of many countries. Yes, there are many member countries, member states. I think more or less 26 or 27 states who join in the European Union. So it's collected to be together, I think, in more European countries. Yes. So maybe that's why it's the highest rank here in the cases of cyber attack directed to public administration or government. Yeah. Because you know that today all over the world, all states and all the governments try to facilitate their services, how to make closer with the people, with the community. They try to make many applications, yeah, how to serve the people in public service by using the electronic or digital application. Yeah, for example, you want to apply for visa or want to apply for KTP or personal identification as a citizen of Indonesia, and also, yeah, I just want to remind you that, for example, in UNSUD, in university and faculty, today you have to be more familiar and also to be more capable to handle with something digital. For example, to apply to fill out the study plan for one semester or and other things, and also to pay the tuition fee for the university. Yeah, there is an academic system how to serve the students. Okay, maybe that's my answer because European Union is big region that consists of many countries. Yeah, so the attacks can come from many parts of all over the world, and also can attack from the European region itself. I think that's my answer.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Suherman. Ladies and gentlemen, we still have two more sessions for question and answers. The second question, second sessions, I plot the time for those who are online. On the
Ada tiga ya?
yes,
I think there are three questions. Yes.
three questions. Okay.
Should I
Yeah,
answer
yeah. Sorry.
in all? The second one, can you remind me? I still remember I think, about how to protect personal identities in digital society in investment, or because now it's getting crucial about personal data. I think our government's already stipulated, already published new laws about how to protect the personal identity protection. Yeah, because yes, we cannot deny the existence of the urgency of gadget or the mobile phone like this. Yes, because in our mobile phone there are many things here. It's very important, sir, including the certificate of immunization of COVID-19 and etc. So we cannot go to anywhere without bringing this stuff, this gadget, you know. So it's quite interesting, I think, about the personal data protection. I think our government, I don't remember about the number of the law, I think, but the government already responded about this. Yeah. Your questions about that? Okay. And then it's about the how to relate between digitalization in investment or in business. How can produce or how can create kind of competitiveness? Is that right? Yeah, itu ya. You means that's yeah, I think that's a very strong relation between how to make to promote the competitive, because by digitalization all business players and all both individual or corporation, they try to compete each other by presenting a digital presentation of digital marketing, what kind of services and what kind of products in more interesting one, in the most interesting one, you know, that so they can compete each other, and then they can see each other what kind of products and services that can be sold to the people, to the client, or to the buyer. Yeah. So the competition is getting tighter, I think, by digital system or digital economy, because everyone's every single corporation very easily, yes, very easy to design this kind of what kind of products they could be offered to the buyer or to the client or to the society. Yeah. I think that's I think it's about business laws always talk about the competition. Yeah, competition is how to make the people can be more innovative. Yeah, innovation is very important for the business, for our economy. Yeah, and also the innovation can you know, for example, the legal issue about property rights. Yeah, I would talk about the property rights. Yes, the property rights come from the innovation. Then innovation should be protected by law, and then all the people, all the creator or the innovator can create anything, because they are very it's very important to make a new product or new services, and then the law can protect them, yes, from the infringement and etc. And then it can create kind of competition. That's my insight.
Okay. You finished with that, Mr. Suherman?
Yeah, I think.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have already got 3 questions for the first sessions, and we now enter into the second session for the questions and answer. I gave the opportunity for those who are joining this session online. Maybe colleagues from the IT sections can help us. Yeah. Already question from there, from the sky.
There is one question from Miss Hani Amelia in the chat box.
Okay, we already have one, maybe.
Yeah, from Miss Hani Amelia.
You can send the question to me.
Okay. One question from Miss Hani Amelia. Question to all the speaker. Can the government be sued for the cases of digital data leaking? This question for all the speaker.
Ms. Ulil, can you please repeat the questions a bit louder, please?
Yeah, this is the question from Miss Hani Amelia from Uninus, or maybe Miss Hani, if you can reach us, you can ask live to the speakers. Or if not, I will read your question. The question for all the speaker, can the government be sued for the cases of digital data leaking?
Okay, so the question is, can government be sued for?
For the cases of digital data leaking.
All right. Okay, do we have another question for the session? Second session?
Only one question, I think, from the
Yeah,
chat.
okay. Okay, I give Thomas, I think, for the first opportunity to answer the question. Thomas?
Yes, well, that question is easy to answer. It depends very much on the country. It's a question of the national state liability law. So usually when a public authority acts in negligence and they cause damage to the citizen, it's a principle under the rule of law that that authority needs to pay compensation for the damages it has caused. So, but in most countries, this is only in case of negligence. So, if a government institution leaks digital data of the citizens, or for example, of companies that can be causing big damage, then they can be sued to pay compensation in most countries if they have acted negligently. That means if the protection of the digital data was not good enough. However, if super hackers attack the government systems with totally new tricks to which the government could not be prepared, I think in most countries there would be no compensation for the citizen in this case. Thank you.
It's short and clear, Thomas. Thank you for the answer. Now, Mr. Suherman, do you have another perspective for that?
Yeah, I think from the same questions, I think we have the same answer about that. That's about the governments, the responsibility of the government should protect the citizen or the people. Yes, because the people and the citizen pay the tax. Yes, how to finance the governments, and also if the people got loss or injury for the data leaks, and it's the government should be responsible for means the the attachment here. Today, there are many cases in Indonesia. The names of the attackers that try to open or to leak the hackers, you know. So actually, yes, in some I do agree, and also the same answer with from Mr. Thomas Smith. Yes, basically that's government should give compensation and also give responsibility to make the data system get secure for all the people. And thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Sherman, for the answer. Ladies and gentlemen, we still have time like 15 and 20 minutes for the sessions. And I will open the opportunity for the those who are joining this event online. Ms. Ulil, we have another question from
Yeah,
from
we
her.
have one more question.
Yeah.
We have one more question in the chat box. First of all, I would like to present. Okay, he cannot turn on the video and asking directly to the speaker, so she write the question. Okay, she asking to Prof. Thomas, how big does the threat have relate to the electronic media rather than the threat spread through conventional way, for example, newspaper and etc. Also from Prof. Trilisiani, Prof. Trilisiani asked to all these speakers, the status of vaccine, mandatory or voluntary, is various across the different countries in the world. To what extent does that status in line with human right point of view? There are two questions for all the speakers. First from Ms. Keiza and second from Prof. Trilisiani.
All right, so interesting questions. Thomas, again, the first opportunity for you. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes. First, on the first question, it's a very interesting question. Is the threat by the electronic media bigger than that by conventional media? I would say objectively not, because it's only more dangerous because people are not used to that. When the conventional media came out, for example, the book printing, after the invention of the book printing by the German Gutenberg, that was much more dangerous. But that was in the 16th century or 17th century. Or in the 20th century, when the modern mass media came out, radio and TV, that was much more dangerous. The Nazis in Germany only came to power because they knew how to abuse the new media radio. So, and the people were not used to that. They did not know that they must not believe everything what is told on the radio. And I think this story is just repeating. There are some historians who say that the new threats in the area of digitalization are just the new threats of a new technique. And mankind must adapt always to the new threats of new techniques. That's all. So in 30, 40 years, that will not be a big threat anymore. Any child in the kindergarten will know that it must be careful when not to believe what it reads on the social media. But at the moment, the citizens, many citizens, for example, in Europe, the elderly or the not so educated, they are not prepared to that threat. So at the moment, since the technique is new, it is very dangerous. At the moment, it's more dangerous than disinformation by conventional media. Now to the second question, also very interesting. Can vaccination against COVID-19 be made mandatory, obligatory? This is a big question in Germany, a huge question, because the COVID-19 crisis was harder in Germany or in Europe and all than in Southeast Asia. And they had discussed that in the last winter, just 1 year ago. And finally, they said, yes, it could be made obligatory, but not yet even under the conditions with 200,000 people suffering from COVID at that time. What they did finally, they made vaccination mandatory in the health sector, so that the health workers, nurses, and doctors were not allowed anymore to enter their workplace if they were not vaccinated. That was after the middle of March. But the example of Germany shows that it did not work at all. A big percentage of the health workers simply refused to vaccinate and would rather give up their job than to vaccinate. Also because of the influence of these conspiracy theories. And then even in Germany, with its Prussian tradition always to enforce the law strictly, they did not enforce it at all, because the whole health sector would simply have broken down. So even if vaccine obligation can be legal, and I think under very harsh condition, a mandatory vaccination for everybody could be legal, even then it will be very, very difficult to enforce it. But the discussion is still going on because it's a question of the privacy and of the autonomy of the human being. So human dignity protects the autonomy to decide what medical steps the human being wants to take or not. And a mandatory vaccination is a very strong encroachment on that. So there need to be very strong reasons to justify it. Personally, I think that under COVID-19 it was justified. But many of my colleagues say differently. The debate is still going on. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. Before I continue to Professor Suherman, I would like to ask you, Thomas, very personal question in one word. Because of your situation now with COVID-19, so you are into mandatory vaccination.
I am vaccinated 4 times, twice with Sinovac. Then I got COVID-19 with Delta, which was a totally different story here last year than now. And then I got 2 Pfizer vaccinations and still it did not help me. Now I got it with Omicron again. But in both cases, the doctors told me, you would have much more problems if you were not vaccinated. And so I have seen people dying in Indonesia. So I would say if a disease is as dangerous as COVID-19, I would agree with mandatory vaccination. But it's a problem of balancing under the principle of proportionality.
Yep. Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Suherman, it's now your time to answer the question.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for the questions from It's quite hard questions. I think we need to elaborate the answer from depend on our theory. I think how kind of theory would be elaborated in this forum, because about human rights, kind of how the people should come to the medical worker to get vaccination, or it's kind of mandatory or it's kind of optional. So to me, that's we based on public regulation or government regulation that the reason all the people should take immunization, yeah, because of the danger. The disease of the COVID-19 is quite huge and also serious dangers for all the community. So the approach look like little bit kind of dictator. I mean, I use this. I don't like to use this, but it's kind of public policy. I mean, said how to the legal instrument to apply the public policy in terms of how to protect the public health. as far as I concern to this policy, I think I do agree with the government that all the people should obey the regulation because the regulation can bring us in more comfortable on healthier lives, and then we can overcome the COVID-19 breakouts like that. And then of course, for the libertarian point of view, it's very I think the people has kind of the freedom how to choose the policy, whether we want to be vaccinated or not. I think it's depend on the beliefs or the people itself. I think so. It's kind of two sides that's totally different, but as the government, I think the government has yes, the government has obligation to make sure the people can live and safely without pandemics or threats of the pandemic, because it's quite dangerous. I think if we just do okay, we can save from that pandemic, but other people, maybe the old people or the weaker people, can be can danger from that. I mean, from the pandemics that come from the virus. I think COVID-19. So to me, in short, that I do support the government. The people should get the vaccination, yeah, because I just to make a judgment in the government has a good purpose and good policy, yeah, to make the people safe. That's my point of view, like that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Suherman.
Maybe I can add one thing from the discussion in Germany. It was only discussed if vaccination could be made mandatory for everybody in a soft way. That means if you are not vaccinated, you would not be allowed to go to a public mall, to go to a shop, to go to a restaurant, and not even to go to office for work. But there was a consensus in Germany, very strong, that an absolutely enforced vaccination obligation would be a violation of the human rights. That means where the police comes to you and force you and vaccinate you by physical force. That would not happen. Even if they had made vaccination mandatory for everybody, this would just have meant that for a certain time, for 2 or 3 months or 4 months, they would have needed to stay at home. But they would not have been physically forced to vaccinate. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Thomas. Very interesting, yeah, how vaccination, although some people will think that it is important and needed to save our health and also to protect other health from the deadly virus, but yeah, different perspective, also different views. We'll see that it is the right of the citizens not to have to be vaccinated. Yeah. Some people also refuse to be vaccinated because of a very simple reason, because of afraid of the needles, trauma, or things like that. Yeah, maybe the audience here, some of you have also what you call it, paranoid of the needles to be injected. Okay, I think we still have one more questions for the third or the last sessions. We actually still have like 20 or 15 minutes to 12, but considering that we will have also the Dhuhr prayer, and I think we still can have one more question from the audience here or from the internet, from the Zoom, please. You can also ask in Bahasa if you think, then we can translate for you. Yeah, please.
Mr. Manunggal, there is one question in the
Yeah.
chat room.
Okay, So we have two questions for this session, yeah?
Okay. From the chat box, we have one question.
Mhm.
It's from Miss Isma. She asked question to Prof. Thomas. The question is, in Indonesia, some big media owner are also politicians, so they sometimes use their media sites for their own political interests and can even spread disinformation to the public. Then what is the opinion of you about how dangerous this thing to the democracy? That's the question from Miss Isma.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's all. Okay, we hold that question. We are now proceed to the second question, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Oki Manikbar. I want to ask something. As being stated by Professor Dr. Thomas Schmitz on the point 3, number 6, about the victim must gain civil compensation in the form of a lump sum from the provider, how does it become the responsibility of the provider? Because they only provide the platform, and it's kind of impossible for them to keep an eye of their millions user. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, yeah, okay. So very interesting questions related to the responsibility of the provider. Thomas, I think you got the questions for the last sessions, please.
Okay, first on the media which are owned by politicians or by the people standing behind them, I think that this is the big threat to democracy. We see that in the USA. For example, Donald Trump is mainly a product of the Koch brothers and of Murdoch, important rich people who control media, and then they can widely manipulate the public discussion. I think there should be some control of the media, that they are not owned by rich people. You have this development in the USA, where the democracy is mainly just the manipulation of the public opinion by rich people and the media. So there could be some restrictions, or there could be rules on the internal independence of the journalists within the media, so that they cannot be controlled by the owner. The discussion about that is not new. This has already happened 50, 60 years ago in Europe. There should be some regulations which exclude that some millionaires manipulate everything. The biggest threat we see now is with Elon Musk and Twitter. Twitter may just become a propaganda instrument like Russian TV. The second question, strict liability of the providers. Okay, I do not agree with you that the providers cannot do anything. They are not innocent. They are operating an extremely dangerous and powerful machinery. So the social media are a machinery which can destroy, which may destroy democracy in many, many countries. And that means they must bear the risk that this machinery is abused. It's not the same as, for example, the internet provider who just provides the internet connection, or the electricity provider. The social media provider, they push the posts, for example, by the algorithm. So there should be restrictions that they take the responsibility seriously and check about, for example, hate speech with automatic filtering mechanisms, or cyberbullying, or when it comes to fake news, at least if they get any information that there is fake news. What we see now is, even when there is fake news spread, for example, lies about a person to destroy his or her reputation, Facebook and co, they take weeks, if not even months, before they delete the fake news. So they do not want to live up to their responsibility, because the fake news, they fuel their business. So, and for that reason, I think that it's the risk of and the responsibility of the providers of the social media to introduce technical mechanisms which can filter out. And they should pay the compensation in form of a lump sum directly to the victim, but of course, they should have the right to get the money back from the real perpetrator. But maybe the real perpetrator is just some poor person or some manipulated poor person who cannot pay. So then that risk should be borne by the social media providers. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Thomas, for your answers, and that marks the end of the sessions. Ladies and gentlemen, please give your loudest and best applause for the speakers. We have arrived now at the end, the closing of these sessions. Maybe I can read one or two sentences from this event. That digitalization is unavoidable in our life, both privately or in public. Digital economy and politics, also news media, all developed in the last maybe 20, 30 years from now. And then we need new definitions, also new regulations. Philosophical debates that develop in these sessions will enrich our knowledge and understandings on the issues. How, like as Professor Thomas said, that providers in social media providers also have responsibility to its users, not only the governments. The corporations, the governments, they bear responsibility also of the well-beings of the users and citizens. That's all. As a moderator, I would like to thanks to the speakers, Professor Suherman and Professor Thomas, and also the audience for joining these sessions. And now I should give the time back to the Master of Ceremony. Thank you.
Give applause. Okay, thank you. Thank you to Professor Dr. Thomas Smith, Professor Dr. Adi Maman Suherman, and Mr. Manunggal, PhD, for the information and knowledge delivered to us today. We're sure that is very useful. As an appreciation, we would like to give certificate to all of our respected speakers today. For the first speaker, Professor Dr. Thomas Smith. Yeah, thank you very much sir, for your incredible share of knowledge to us. Thank you.
Terima kasih. Thank you very much.
We would like to give certificate to our second speaker and moderator. First, to Professor Dr. Adi Maman Suherman, SH, MSc, kindly come forward. To Vice Dean Dr. Teddy Sudrajat, SH, kindly come forward to give certificate to Professor Dr. Adi Maman Suherman as speaker. And to the moderator, Mr. Manunggal, PhD, kindly come forward. The coordinator of IUP, Dr. Ayuni, to give certificate to Mr. Manunggal as the moderator. Thank you very much for your outstanding contribution in sharing knowledge with us. Thank you. Now we will have photo session. To Vice Dean, Speaker, Moderator, Coordinator of IUP, kindly come forward. Second photo session with all the audiences. Mr. Thomas, please joining the photo session. Second photo session with all the audiences. Mr. Thomas for joining the photo session. Thank you very much. For the audiences, please be seated.
Ladies and gentlemen, now the program is concluded. To finish the agenda, let us close in this event by reciting Hamdalah together. Alhamdulillah. I am Annie and my partner Okta as the master of ceremony today would like to thank the audience for the participation, and we also apologize for our mistakes during the event. That's all from us. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Dr. Thomas, and all the participants from online platform. Thank you very much. Hopefully we can build or make another program in the near future, so we can welcome you here in Purwokerto.
I hope so. Thank you very much for the invitation to this very interesting event. I see you next time.
See you next time.
See you.
Selamat siang juga Prof. Trilisiani sudah bergabung bersama kami. Terima kasih Prof. Trilisiani. Lalu ada some of the participant from the another university in Indonesia, from Uninus and also Undip, Unpad, also Prof. Eti. Thank you very much for joining with us today. Hopefully we can have another program in our campus in the near future. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.